Sure, it's 9 a.m. on your Thursday morning. I'm Bryn.
And I'm Collin. Yeah, it's
Thanks
Thursday.
for
I thought it was
joining us.
Wednesday.
It's Thursday,
It's
Collin.
Thursday.
It's almost Friday. I'm feeling good
yeah,
vibes. I love Thursdays, Friday Eve. But it really has felt like it has been a monstrous week.
It
like
has.
I was telling you, I was trying to think about an outfit I wore on Monday, and I go, oh my gosh, I thought that was last week because we've been through so much.
It's been very, very busy.
It's been so busy.
This week. And obviously still a lot of cleanup and recovery efforts going on
Right.
today, which is a big part of today's conversation is
Right.
really how all of Central Ohio is getting along. So that's the big focus today, severe weather recovery. But also, back to school is kicking off. A lot of school districts heading back today, including Whitehall schools are back today. Upper Arlington pushed their start back.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, to next week. So that's the other big topic of the day.
And the Food Truck Fest, the Columbus Food Truck Fest, is this weekend. We have the founder and owner of the Food Truck Fest joining us later today just to talk about all of the fun that brings to the
Yeah.
city of Columbus.
It's a great event.
It's a great event. It's been going on for many years, and it's still going strong. And then we'll be joined by the Perry County EMA director discussing kind of where they're at with cleanup operations and recovery efforts after just catastrophic flooding from this severe weather.
Even Tuesday morning when we talked with her, they were already at their basically operational capacity.
Right.
They were calling in resources from surrounding counties. So obviously things have gotten even worse there. But yeah, we'll get a checkup with her coming up at 9:40.
Well, as in the realm of Upper Arlington, let's take a look at some of the drone video that we got from there. I mean, the damage was really bad to the point where they had to push back school.
Right, because
Columbus
they were supposed to start yesterday,
and now they're not starting
Yesterday,
until next week. And you can just see, I mean, like huge trees are down in front of homes. I actually drove by. I live kind of near the Short North area, and trees are still down there too.
Yeah.
So cleanup is still very much happening.
And the one thing that, Columbus, at least if you live in Columbus, whether that be the Columbus part of Upper Arlington, the Columbus part of Hilliard, they're basically telling you to take all of that stuff, put it by the road, chop it up if you can, so they can start picking that up. Rumpke's going to start doing those rounds come Friday. Hilliard is also providing that service. Put it by the road, they will pick it up.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot out there.
I mean, look at that. I don't even know what that is. Looks like part of a
looks
gondola.
Like I was going to say part of their pergola.
Pergola,
is
gondola?
on their, the gondola's the boat.
Oh, gondola's a boat? There we go.
Yeah.
Happy Thursday. But yeah, just massive trees uprooted. You can see that one there. I mean, old trees. They're tall and they're thick, and it's, just it takes time to put the pieces back together after something like that.
Right, because especially you look at some of the damage on the south side. We're talking trees that are centuries old that have just been
it's kind of
tore
sad.
apart.
I hate
It
seeing
is.
like big trees like that just totally needing to be cut to pieces. But
Right.
Columbus Fire, they revealed that basically they had more than 1,000 calls on Tuesday.
Yeah, and at one point at the height of this storm and the the hours following, for the first time in history, every unit that they had available was in use. It was committed to some emergency run at the same time across the city. So they had 131 calls all at once, as you mentioned, more than 1,000 just in those few hours. They've evaluated and marked more than 100 buildings, 217 reports of downed wires. So that being said, that is why Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther has now issued a mayoral state of emergency for the city of Columbus. And you look at some of these and you can see why. And the part of that, so the mayoral state of emergency is very much like the governor's state of emergency, but smaller. It's very much Columbus focused. That is hopefully to open up some more resources, some more liberty with some money that can help get things put back on track faster.
Everybody's been impacted by these storms, but the impact on the south side in particular for our neighbors there, nothing short of devastating.
And here's a look at Berliner Park. That was also severely damaged, as you can see. I mean, look at that just string of power lines totally knocked over to their side.
Right. And I mean, that right there is what caused ODOT to shut down I-71 from Green Lawn all the way down to 161 there Tuesday because of all of those power poles. They had to get all of those off the interstate. But Berliner is an interesting focus because it is the city's largest ball sports park in terms of having ball diamonds. This weekend was supposed to be the firefighters softball tournament. the certainty of that right now,
Right.
we don't know. Bernita Reese, who is the director of Columbus Parks and Recreation and Parks, says everybody's coming together, whether that be Recreation and Parks, the Water Department, AEP. Everybody's trying to get this pulled together so they could possibly get that done.
And speaking of AEP, let's take a look at the outage map right now. So I'm clicking on Franklin County. We're now down just to 28,922 customer outages. A huge difference from where we were on Tuesday. At the peak of the storm, 130,000 customers did not have power. But I want to zoom out of here for a little bit to show you just perspective. Our surrounding counties, Licking, we got Fairfield, that says Hawking. My eyesight's pretty bad. Those are looking a lot better. At the peak of the storm, too, I mean, I think Fairfield
we were at like
almost
130,000
had,
in total.
But Fairfield specifically had like tens of 10,000. So crews are out there still working to restore power. I know the estimated restoration time here in Franklin County specifically says August 14th, which is tomorrow at noon. AEP is obviously saying, you may get your power back on way sooner than that. But some people are still impacted by this and still don't have power. So they're really being optimistic about the 14th.
And then after we got hit by those storms Tuesday, there was that other line that fortunately for us missed us and didn't cause any more damage. But that then went to Cincinnati. And there, I mean, Duke Energy's reporting something like 40, 50, 60,000 people still without power down in the Cincinnati area. So I mean,
we were all hit.
Yes.
It was bad. And I mean, some people are literally displaced from their homes. They don't have anywhere to go right now. And Amy, she was out at a Red Cross
right there at
shelter.
Scioto Southland.
Yes. Speaking to people there that are really needing their help right now.
Yeah, we are still seeing people come to this shelter. I checked in with officials at the Red Cross inside. They say more people came overnight. They've got more than 24 people staying here right now, many of which are without a home after Tuesday's storm. As cleanup and power restoration efforts continue across the state, people are relying on the American Red Cross for support.
They lost everything. A lot of people lost everything. But going with that, they're, a little more upbeat than you would think. And the community has supported them so much with so many things. It's been kind of inspiring.
Many residents in Crooksville are still processing the shock from Tuesday's storm. At times, they say waist-high water filled their homes.
I had to literally hand my daughter out the bedroom window. My boyfriend had to bust the screen out the bedroom window because it was coming up to our bedroom window.
Everything was floating. When I came in yesterday, it was up to my chest.
Meantime, in Columbus, many South Side residents are also still without power and cleaning up damage. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther says fire officials responded to more than 1,100 calls in the height of Tuesday's storm.
Every unit of the Columbus Division of Fire was in service, responding to calls for service to folks in the city.
So, thinking back to what Mayor Ginther said about all of those calls, I remember sitting in the newsroom when I was hearing the scanners. I mean, it was call after call after call, water rescue after water rescue. So, thank you to our first responders who helped out on Tuesday. And we know we're getting another update from Columbus City officials in the next 2 hours at 11.
That's coming up at 11. So that'll be available on the 10 TV streaming app, also 10tv.com. So the latest information and obviously more coverage coming up at noon, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, we'll bring you guys the latest. Okay. Well, coming up next, we are joined by the Columbus Metropolitan Library. We're talking about back to school and all the other resources that they offer for students. Just besides going there and getting books, they have a lot to offer. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
I'm Jeff Hogan. I've been a journalist at 10 TV for more than 20 years. I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it moves. It moves you to act, to speak up, or lend a hand. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at 10 TV, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Central Ohio.
All right, welcome back to The Big Picture, 9:14. We are joined by Lauren Hagan from the Columbus Metropolitan Library. Thanks so much for coming in. We are in the middle of back-to-school season. A lot of districts went back today. There is a lot more to the library than just books. Obviously, that is your bread and butter, but there's a lot there resource-wise for students who need help, anything from ACT, SAT prep. There's so many offerings that the library has there. Talk a little bit about what is available for students and families.
Of course. So kids and families are one of our primary focuses. So yes, as back to school is starting, we will start opening our school help centers and our kids create areas and teens create areas. We have dedicated spaces for different age groups so that we can provide those resources. And our staff and volunteers really invest a lot of time in helping all of the kids that spend a lot of time in our branches after school.
It offers so much. Sorry, I'm having some camera problems. There we go. I switched it back. No, I love going to the library, especially the Columbus one, because growing up in Columbus, I always did tutoring at the library. And it just was a easy, safe place for me to walk into after school and quiet. You know, you can rent a room and whatnot. When you're working with students and other schools, I mean, when it comes to renting out some of the facilities, like, can you explain to us how people can go and do that online? They can book rooms, things like that.
Of course. So we have lots of meeting space and study and workspace, and you can book spaces online. Or when you're in the library, if there is a study room or meeting room available, you can book it while you're there. So it's really easy. We make it easy on our website, but you could also call. If you are not comfortable with doing things online, you can call and our call center will help out. There's a phone number. It's 645-2275 that people can call and someone will help them.
Right. And obviously there's those programs, but then also there's some new programs and stuff to get younger people and adults alike through the doors. Talk a little about the authors at the library.
Sure, of course. So we have expanded our Authors at the Library series. In the past, we had 4 or 5 authors coming a year. This year, we have 30 authors coming to our locations. And they are going to be at Main Library and also many of our branches. And the idea here is we want to offer a variety of authors that our customers and families and adults are interested in, and also gives you the opportunity to maybe go to a new location or check out an author that you're unfamiliar with to see if it's someone you might be interested in.
And with so many kids on their phones and their iPads these days, are you still seeing teens and younger kids come into the library actually wanting to read, physically hold a book?
Yes, we are. And that's, I think, something that's so encouraging about the future. And one of the things that I share with people, particularly as it relates to teens, we see teens really wanting to be engaged in things that don't involve technology after school. So we have the Teens Create program, which really is about different activities that don't involve technology. So maybe it's a craft or a board game. In many of our spaces, we've added things like foosball tables and things that allow the kids to engage with each other in a way that gets them off their devices. Of course, they're still very connected to their devices, but we definitely see people wanting to get back to reading a physical book and doing things like playing board games or doing a craft or maybe a puzzle or something like that.
And, you know, I love Main Library, beautiful facility, but with so many branches, each one of those kind of caters to the community it's in. Some of the programming that happens there is, you know, there might be programming that is very catered toward the Driving Park neighborhood that is just at that facility, or Dublin, for example. How does that factor into making the library more than just the resource for books? It has become really a community center.
Absolutely. So we want our libraries to represent their neighborhoods, and our teams and staff at each location really pay attention to what the customers are looking for and what resources and programs they're interested in. So it allows them to customize and make things available to our neighbors in each of our locations, because you're right. Customers in Driving Park may want and be very interested in programs that are different than our customers in places like Dublin or Hilliard. And we want to think about what people are wanting and want to bring that to them at each of the locations.
And speaking of helping people, you're having a press conference at one of your branches for the city of Columbus today about the severe weather response. Talk to us about your part in that and the resources that you are offering to your neighbors.
Absolutely. So the libraries are all open. Generally, we're open from 9 to 8, and some locations are open till 9. It is a place that people can come, particularly if they are still without power, charge your devices, have access to Wi-Fi, study spaces, meeting rooms, resources that may help you as you navigate the challenges that the storm has brought. We also, at many of our locations have free lunch and dinner for kids right now through the summer. So that's something that's available to community members who may not be familiar with that. And you can come to the library. You don't need to have a library card. You just come. It's available to everybody who needs it. And of course, you can check out books or sit and read or just be on your phone if you need to be doing that. Or there's computers there as well if you need access to those.
All right. Lauren Hagan, the CEO of the Columbus Metropolitan Library System. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up, we are talking about fun and good food. The Columbus Food Truck Festival is back. We are talking about some of the new offerings that you'll find when you head out.
I'm Yolanda Harris. I'm a journalist at 10 TV News. I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it moves. It moves you to act, to verify, to volunteer. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at 10 TV, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Central Ohio.
All right, welcome back to Big Picture 922. We are bringing in Chaz Kaplan, the founder and owner, the all-around man of the hour when it comes to the Columbus Food Truck Festival. So, kicks off tomorrow out at the Franklin County Fairgrounds. Huge event if you've never been. It's a great time. Love the good food out there. When it comes to this year's, is there anything new and exciting that you're really looking forward to?
Oh, we've got a ton of new and exciting. We've listened to the feedback from social media, comments, things like that, surveys. First, every food vendor is selling Pepsi products. So that's something new, where it was just our little bar set up. People were like, why do we have to go to two different places to get drinks and food and buy? All at one place at this point.
That's great.
So that's first. Second is much upgraded Kids Day on Saturday from 11 to 4 p.m. We have got super games, the slides, all those activities, plus Kids Market, which is a group of 20 to 30 vendors, all between the ages of 5 and 12 years old, showing off their beginner entrepreneurial spirit, which is super exciting. Tomorrow night from 6 to 9 p.m., we've got Jordan from Love is Blind, so that'll be fun. He's doing his guest appearance and giving out some of his mom's chocolate chip cookies. And then Saturday, on top of our great music lineup and our 45 food trucks that we have, I've got national headlining artist DJ Logic with Robert Randolph and friends. He just won his second Grammy. If you're not familiar with that, slide guitar, jazzy blues, kind of rock and roll. It's awesome. We've got the Waterbird VIP. We have got the Seventh Son Beer Garden. There's so much going on.
Right. Yeah. And when we were talking, I was talking to you about, I went to the very first food truck in 2011 Fest in Columbus. I mean, this has been around for years. Why do you think people keep coming back to this event? And why do they love it so much?
I hope for a few different reasons. One, because it is truly locally owned, locally operated. 80% of the food vendors there are local. This year we've got a few from out of town. But it is all built by family, heart, soul, and passion. Giving to local nonprofits. I've donated $115,000 over the last 15 years to local nonprofits. The goal of the festival is to, especially in times like right now, where the city just went through horrible storms, is to get people out of their daily stresses for a few hours. Come out, enjoy. Our staff, our team, they're all my family. So hopefully that bleeds through to the experience that everyone has when they come out on site.
And you mentioned some of that philanthropic efforts over the past few years. Is there any organization specifically this year that money's going toward?
Music Loves Ohio is our nonprofit partner. They're a great organization, been around for years, as well as BESA is our volunteer partner, and we contribute money back for every volunteer that's provided.
Can you talk to us about how food trucks have been around for a while?
Yeah.
But do you feel like they've really ushered in a new generation of cooks because of the accessibility that being in a truck creates? I mean, I feel like Columbus has a lot of food trucks like you were talking about, and I'm curious about that.
From the time that we started this in 2011 to now, I mean, I oversee the Ohio State University Mobile Food Program as well. I wouldn't say that it's created a new generation of cooks. It's created a new generation of entrepreneurs that were once cooks in the back of kitchens, but wanted to own their own business. And this is a more affordable way for them to do it. And they're doing it in droves.
Yes.
Right. And what you said, 45 vendors this year. Most of them are from the Columbus area. I mean, there's a few that have come from out of town.
Yeah.
How do you personally find these vendors, or is it kind of like a, hey, if you want to come on down?
I think over the last 15 years, they find us.
Yeah.
But there's also a core handful of vendors from Central Ohio that is must-have Amish country donuts. Don't know if you've ever had them, but it's
really good.
Insane. Iowa noodles, Cousins Maine Lobster, which is national, but I work with them locally. The Tasty Good. They're empanadas and more. I mean, I work with a lot of these trucks year round, so I believe in them and they believe in me. So they're more than welcome to come back every year.
And there's some really good food trucks in town.
Oh yeah, Columbus is a hub for it. Seriously.
From 2011, it went from 50 to I think there's over 500 now.
Yeah, it's wild.
So it's insanity.
What are some of the challenges that come with cooking in a truck? I mean, some of them are you're pretty locked in there tight.
So I owned one in 2014 as well. Gave it a shot, just to show everyone that I could do it. And I come from the restaurant background, but the elements is first and foremost. You have the winter where we operate your negative 20 degrees. You're freezing your tail off. In the summer, last year's food truck festival was extremely hot. It got over 100 degrees, and inside those trucks, you're talking about 140 degrees with the stoves and the grills and the fryers. And they can't run their air conditioning because that's just too much power. It's hard. Plus, people don't think about, just even talk about a lunch shift that's 3 hours long. They have to prep the food. They have to get the staff. They have to do the lunch service. Then they have to clean the truck. So just a 3-hour lunch service is an 8-hour kind of operation. So think about the 20 or so hour of operation that we have over a 2-day weekend of festivals. And these trucks are doing that every weekend.
Yeah, so amazing. Where can people get tickets, find out all the details they need to know?
Yep. So first, we are running a special online right now that kind of coincides with the storms. And the code for a 40% discount on tickets is Storms Suck. Okay? And you can get tickets at columbusfoodtruckfest.com. That code works until 6 p.m. tonight. They are $10, but you get 40% off.
Yeah, that's great. It'll be a good way to relieve some stress.
And you know why I love food trucks too? It's like you can interact face to face with the cooks and the chefs. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it feels way more personal.
Speaking of interacting, we do have a new interactive website that's live. So go play around with the site, have fun. You'll find the hours 4 to 10 p.m. Friday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks so
we
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, coming up next, our very own Kevin Landers is joining us, talking about food insecurity in Knox County and what pantries there are doing to, beat that problem. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Not every weather impact day is dangerous, but plenty are inconvenient. That's where our weather impact team comes in with the details that matter the most. Live, local, whenever you need it. No waiting, no guesswork. Stay in the know and be prepared with 10 TV.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. Joining us, Kevin Landers.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
We're talking about, we were just talking about Food Truck Fest, but now we're talking about food insecurity. It's obviously a very real problem for so many families in Central Ohio. But this new story that you have coming out, you go to Knox County. Why did you decide to go there?
So Knox County, during their fair, they have something called, I think it's called Pack the Truck, where people can donate food for people who are in need. And they pack this truck and they donate all this money to the local food pantry. And it got me thinking about food insecurity. And we look at the high cost of groceries and gas, and people are struggling out there to try to put food on the table. And as a matter of fact, we ran into a gentleman who was struggling to the point where he decided that he couldn't afford his medication anymore and gave that up just so he could save more money, put food on the table. So we started to look at food insecurity. On top of that, there's some new rules that are coming down from the federal government that are going to create more pressures on Ohio specifically when it comes to administering the SNAP program, commonly known as food stamps. So if you look at the numbers, 1 in 7 people in our state are considered food insecure. And so our story takes a look at that.
I come here average about once a month. Mark Graves of Mount Vernon says he wouldn't eat without the interchurch food pantry.
Without this place, where do you think you'd be?
Oh, I'd be a lot worse off, put it that way. And I'm 66. I'm on a low income budget.
A budget, he says, that's shrinking.
Because every time I get a small raise from the government, they take more away from my food stamps. It's like, ooh, okay, the government gives me and the government takes it back. Never going to get ahead the way things are, never.
Never did he think he would choose food over his health.
I have to send my oxygen machine back because it's a choice between that and other things, my medication. So yeah, so this place really, really does help.
What kind of snacks you guys want?
Michaela Turner is a single mother of 2.
We've been out of milk for weeks. They've been hounding me all week.
She also made sacrifices to make sure her kids are fed.
I had to give up buying what my animals needed, pet food, to buy what we needed for the house, which was, not the best choice, but, at the end of the day, we still have to eat as well. You guys want some applesauce? Yeah.
She says the government assistance she receives doesn't last as long as it once did.
We're on food stamps and stuff, and normally it used to cover us throughout the whole month, but not like it used to.
Inside this food pantry, the need for food is growing.
It's a lifesaver, actually, because prices are just skyrocketed.
In July of 2022, the pantry says it served 192 families. 3 years later, that number grew to 275%, to 725 families.
It is very important.
We serve around 80 a week on Thursdays.
Other pantries are also working to keep people fed.
We made some cookies.
This is the Knox County Salvation Army Pantry. Compared to last year, it's seen a 5% increase, mostly families looking for food.
The nation's largest anti-hunger program called SNAP, commonly known as food stamps, is changing. States like Ohio will now have to shoulder more of the cost to administer it because the federal government is reducing its share. That could reduce the number of people who qualify for food stamps and send more of them to food pantries like this one.
These changes that are coming as a result of federal law are the biggest changes, the biggest cuts to the SNAP program in the program's history in 60 years. And obviously that's going to have impacts on the states, and most importantly, it's going to have an impact on the people who rely on it.
Look, boom, we got milk now.
As for Michaela Turner, she's among millions who could lose her benefits under new work requirements for SNAP. Even if she could find work, she says.
You still got to find somebody that'll work with you until you can get the child care to work full time. So it's hard. Say thank you. Thank you.
Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Kevin, it's heartbreaking. It's sad, but it's good that they're there for those resources.
Yeah, the food pantries are doing an amazing job, and of course they need and they rely upon people to donate food. They obviously rely heavily on Mid-Ohio Food Collective for food, but food prices are going up for everyone, even for Mid-Ohio. So the question is, as demand grows and food insecurity grows, how will Ohio continue to serve these people who are on the margins?
Right, and when it comes to people wanting to donate, we've seen that turn in recent years of folks like Mid-Ohio saying, give us money because we can buy more with that dollar. We buy it wholesale instead of you donating a can of green beans. We can buy pallets with a handful of dollars.
Right, exactly. And I think, the other thing is, they're also looking for volunteers to help stuff these boxes to help people. And if you have time and you want to volunteer, that's a great opportunity to help your community in need. And it's not just obviously Franklin County, it's Knox County, it's all counties and throughout Ohio that can all use volunteers to help get these boxes full and get these people fed.
And the mom you interviewed, I think she offered, a really great perspective of, going to work and finding childcare is very hard for her. Yep. So that's a factor into all of this when it comes to food stamps and qualifying for it and childcare. It's just one issue on top of another.
Right. How is she going to be able to fulfill the work requirement if she can't have childcare? Right. So how does someone like that survive?
Right.
And that's the struggle that's going on for a lot of people. And I think even if you have a job and you still can provide food, childcare is still very, very expensive. So I think a lot of families are in that predicament of how do we make this all work.
Obviously, like Thanksgiving and fall is coming up. I've been seeing more releases and more postings about upcoming food drives. Is there anything else people can do right now to help the food bank?
Yeah, I think donate your money, donate your time.
They need more monetary donations, you would say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I wanted to share a quote. This is from John Honig, who's the executive director of the Ohio Job and Family Services Directors Association. He says, historically, the federal government paid for 50% of the program's administrative expenses, with the state and county sharing the cost of the remainder. Starting October of this year, the federal matching rate will be cut in half from 50 to 25% due to the changes in federal law. This change will cause counties to lose over $50 million in federal matching funds over the 12-month period.
Mm-hmm.
So as states begin to shoulder more of the burden to administer these programs, the question becomes, if they're spending more money to do this, will they have enough money to provide food stamps for those in need, or will people who qualify be left off? And I think that's where we don't know what the ramifications are yet, but clearly they're signaling that it's going to be an issue.
Right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All righty.
All right, coming up, Perry County still under that state of emergency as it deals with the severe flooding from both rounds of rain Monday, Tuesday. And the county's EMA director is going to join us by phone to give us an update on how recovery efforts are going there.
I'm Bryn Albizu, traffic anchor for 10 TV News this morning. My mission is simple, to help you get to where you're going quickly and safely. Because when your morning's on the move, so are we. Make the move to 10 TV News this morning, anywhere you watch.
All right, welcome back to The Big Picture, 941. As we wait for Perry County to hop on the line, we understand they are very busy. They are swamped
I was like,
with recovery efforts.
Just give us 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's maybe
Pop in when you can.
Whenever you can.
But while we're waiting on that, this storm system was wider than just central Ohio. It also had some effects in Indiana. Part of I-70 right now is closed.
Right. And
it
Indiana
collapsed.
got like 10 inches of rain in just a matter of hours.
Them and Perry County basically got the same amount of rain.
Mm-hmm.
So this morning, ODOT Press Secretary Matt Bryn joined Tracy Townsend to talk about how ODOT is looking at repairing roads that have washed out, how they're working with the Indiana DOT regarding issues with 70, all of that, kind of right now moving forward on recovery efforts on their part.
Floodwaters from the heavy rains washed out a portion of I-70 west in eastern Indiana, just 9 miles past that state line there in Wayne County. Pavement cracked, washed away. This is just amazing. It's forced an indefinite closure of that portion of I-70 west. The Ohio Department of Transportation has already posted those digital message boards out there along I-70 right here in Columbus and in Dayton to warn drivers who are heading west. ODOT Press Secretary Matt Bryn is joining us this morning. Matt, glad that you could join us. So many of us do head west to Indy and beyond each day, each week. First of all, talk about how this happened.
Well, I mean, they've just gotten a tremendous amount of rain in a portion of eastern Indiana, and we've seen a lot of that in western Ohio and obviously to the east of Columbus and even really through central Ohio. These storms have just continued to train over the same area, dumping very heavy rain. And when you get that much rain, you're going to have some massive flooding problems, and certainly they're seeing that in Indiana, and that looks like it has washed out a portion of Interstate 70 right around the Richmond, Indiana area. So that is what we're alerting people to right now.
And that's such a critical area when you need to stop and get a bite to eat, but maybe that's just me. You've got the message boards up warning drivers about the closure. How much time do they have to make a decision on a detour?
Well, it depends on where you are. Certainly, the reason we chose to put those signs up in Columbus even is because if you're heading from Columbus or Pittsburgh or areas between to Indianapolis, your best route at this point may very well be I-71 down to Cincinnati around 275 and then 74 to get into Indianapolis. But even if you're in the Dayton area, which is where we have signs posted as well, you could take 75 south into Cincinnati, and then again 275 to 74. There are other routes to get there. The problem is that whole eastern section right along the Ohio-Indiana border is very flooded. And so some of the alternate routes that you would typically take are also flooded, like US 40. So it's really a long detour to get around all that high water. And so sometimes the best route is to just go, again, down through Cincinnati and to get to Indianapolis.
All right, so we know more rain is on the way. We've been talking about this. Does ODOT really anticipate more damage like that in those affected areas or other parts of the state?
Yeah, we've been in very close contact with our partnering agencies, like the National Weather Service, and certainly staying on top of what the river gauges are looking like right now, and obviously very concerned about additional rain on top of areas that already have saturated ground. It's not going to take much rain to cause more problems. And so, we'll be certainly closely monitoring that throughout the day and into the weekend. And then, of course, once this flash flooding issue is resolved, now you've got to worry about the river flooding as major rivers like the Scioto and the Ohio River start to come up as all of that drains into those. So we'll certainly be looking for some flooding issues there. The biggest thing that I can tell you, Tracy, is just I really cannot urge this enough. When people see those barricades and those signs that say road closed or high water ahead, or they just see high water, please don't drive through it. The issue you're seeing on I-70 in Indiana could be at any road that's got high water on it. So we just need people to know that those barricades and signs are there for a reason, and that reason is your safety. We need people to obey those. And again, when you see that high water that maybe doesn't have a sign on it yet, don't drive through because you just don't know what's underneath that water.
It really makes the case for this. I want you to say that for the people in the back. But before you do that, I've got to ask you, how long do you think this closure might last?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, when you have an emergency situation, and we've been no stranger to that in Ohio, that moves things a lot quicker. You've got some different resources at your fingertips that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise if this were a traditional project. So I'm sure Indiana is working around the clock right now to work with their federal partners and all hands on deck to try to get that major interstate reopened. It's one thing if it's a smaller route in a rural area. Not that that's not an important road, but it certainly takes on another level when it's a major interstate that carries tens of thousands of vehicles a day. And so I know that Indiana knows how important I-70 is, and they'll be working around the clock to try to get that reopened as soon as possible.
All right, Matt Bruning, it's great to have you on the phone with us this morning. Thanks for making time.
So
thank you, Matt,
that is just one more factor to take into account when it comes to just trying to recover from these storms over the last few days.
I want to give a bird's eye view of Perry County. I mean, just look at the destruction that they went through. We're waiting on the Perry County EMA director to join us, Jessica Dodson-Pierce. But it's just so much flooding. The roads just covered in mud left over from that as the floodwaters have receded. It's just
because they were hit Monday night by the first round of storms, and then obviously the storms that rolled through early in the morning, and then that other round that came through at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So they just got, punch after punch thrown at them. We've seen instances of water rescues. When we talked with Jessica on Tuesday morning, they were already pretty much at their limits on resources they had inside the county, and they were having to call in extra help from surrounding counties to come to their aid. We know right now Perry County and Muskingum counties both under a state of emergency, which is freeing up some state resources when it comes to those recovery efforts. 40 National Guard troops have been deployed there along with some tactical vehicles.
I want to see if we can bring her in.
Yeah,
We've been trying to get her through on the phone. Jessica, can you hear us? Hello? Darn it.
All right.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break because I'm going to try to call her on our phone so we can get this problem resolved. We'll be right back.
I'm Tracy Townsend, anchor at 10 TV News This Morning. My goal is simple: help you feel informed and connected. Because when news moves fast, you need a team that moves with you. Make the move to 10 TV News This Morning, weekdays from 5 to 9, anywhere you watch.
All right, we're back on the Big Picture 950. We're going to go ahead and bring in Perry County EMA Director Jessica Dodson-Pierce. Jessica, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. We know when we spoke to you earlier this week, resources were stretched pretty thin, and you guys were calling in some help from surrounding counties. Now that we're a couple days past that, how are things looking right now as recovery goes on in Perry County?
Yes, we are still currently utilizing resources from around outside of our county. We currently today, our biggest thing is we have several other county EMAs here that are assisting. They are starting damage assessments. They are actually getting ready now to go out from the incident command post, and they're going to the different areas. They will be going to Corning as well. We had some flooding there, New Lex, Crooksville, and Roseville.
And Jessica, we can hear you are out and about. What are you seeing right now? Where are you located? What are you doing to help?
I have not been able to be out on the streets yet to see the damage myself yet with my own eyes. I have been down at the incident command post in Crooksville at the fire department, helping assist with them with any resources that they need.
The National Guard troops were in town the past couple days. Are they still in Perry County? And if so, what are they focused on today?
Yes, they are currently still in Perry County. As of right now, they are helping us complete traffic access control at certain points, just so we can kind of control the traffic that's coming in and out. That will be actually changing. We are actually going to be opening up the village of Crooksville back up so people can come in. Contractors, solicitors, anybody that is willing to volunteer, they need to, if they're not with an association or organization, they need to report to Crooksville Village Hall, which is at 98 South Buckeye Street in Crooksville, to obtain the correct permitting documentation before they proceed into the village. But we are starting to we'll have the National Guard pull from blocking the roadways.
And Jessica, quickly, just one last question. We know you're busy, but I just want to ask you, what are the biggest challenges that families are telling you they're facing right now?
Oh, it's a wide variety. There are some families that are at a complete loss of everything. Then there are some that have just had minor losses. So it's just a matter of, if you have suffered from a loss of anything at all, you please just need to call the Perry County EMA office, 740-342-1141. Please report that to us. We are definitely going to help anybody and everybody. We are working through the whole entire process. And if people can just continue to follow our Perry County EMA Facebook page for updates and on direction as to where to donate, donations and volunteer people.
All right, Jessica Dodson-Pierce, the Director for Perry County Emergency Management Agency, thanks so much for joining us, providing that update. Obviously, still a very tricky situation for a lot of people out there. Obviously, the south side of Columbus, but then, yes, Perry County, Muskingum County, still dealing with those two still in that state of emergency. We do know that there is a what's called a bucket brigade going on at the Zanesville Lowe's today, where especially people in Muskingum and Perry County can go. Those buckets are packed full of cleaning supplies that come in, immense help. Bleach, degreaser. These are all put together by various organizations. Sometimes the Red Cross puts them out, but I think these were all vendors from Lowe's. But anyway, meteorologist Justin Gertz joins us now. One big topic that's been going around online lately, especially for the Columbus community, is the warning sirens.
We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but what else can you tell us? Because people are still asking that question.
Yeah, and I get the frustration for sure. And, it's one of those that, because there was no tornado warning, and the policy here is tornado warning is what prompts these outdoor warning sirens to be activated. No tornado warning, no siren activation. And I know that's very unsatisfying answer in some ways, because it's like, well, look at all the damage that happened. And the reality is that a lot of storm damage comes from straight line winds, not from tornadoes. And I know that we have a lot more severe thunderstorm warnings than tornado warnings. And a lot of the times when a severe thunderstorm warning happens, not much happens. So, right. I totally appreciate that aspect of things where it's like, well, okay, severe thunderstorm warning, what do you want me to do with that? And with the case yesterday, it initially looked like 60-mile-an-hour winds, which are enough to cause damage, of course, but then things ramped up very quickly as those storms were getting into the Columbus metro. So, one thing to keep in mind is, first of all, what the policy is. And some places will sound sirens for, let's say, 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts estimated. That's not our policy here, but some places have that. But also keep in mind they are outdoor warning sirens. They're really meant for people who are outdoors to say, hey, there's a threat to your safety because you are outdoors at this time, so you need to get to a shelter because of the heightened, risk. People who are indoors, they're already in a a relatively safe spot compared to those who are outdoors. So, I'm sure there will be a lot of discussions after this as far as, okay, where can things be improved? And we can hope that next time we don't have something like this.
And you mentioned with 70-mile-per-hour winds that municipalities can decide whether to flip it on or not, right?
Yeah, so like back where I came from before moving to Columbus, our county did outdoor warning sirens for tornado warnings or 70-mile-an-hour or higher estimated winds. And that makes it so they're not going off constantly for every severe thunderstorm warning, but it's like, hey, this is a higher level situation. And again, one could make the argument of, well, what's 60 versus 70 if you're outdoors? Shouldn't you be warned anyway? Or like, even if there's lightning, shouldn't you be warned? But you have to make that decision somewhere. And in some cases, I feel like that 70 threshold is a pretty appropriate one. But again, there's all sorts of decisions that have to be made as far as, there's a lot of partnerships that exist, a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, a lot of entities that are all interconnected. And it's not as complicated as somebody just saying, we're going to do this. I mean, there's a lot of things that may not be as obvious to one group or another group that are a real consideration.
Right. And in like certain meteorological instances, in weather situations such as microbursts, those happen so fast, they can happen faster than a single radar sweep.
Yeah. I mean, we typically get a radar sweep once, ideally every 3 or 4 minutes. So, and some of these things happen in
that window.
In that window of time. So it can happen without you even knowing it happened based on radar data.
Yeah.
Which is one of those very challenging things. And these spin-up tornadoes, if we had any here, typically only last a matter of minutes. So it would be very hard to pick those things out.
And Justin, we have an alert day issued for tomorrow. What do they need to know? Because I feel like after what happened on Tuesday, you kind of talked about PTSD yesterday with us. I mean, people have been through a lot these last couple of days.
Yeah.
So what can we expect starting tomorrow?
Yeah, it looks like tomorrow morning we'll see some waves of scattered rain and thunderstorms. Starting mainly after midnight is when the majority of some of the waves of rain are going to be coming on by, kind of off and on throughout the late night and especially morning hours tomorrow. Right now, it looks like the heaviest rain is likely to be southwest of Columbus, where we could have some localized amounts over an inch or two in some spots. And the 2 inches is about the threshold for getting flash flooding across portions of the area. So that'll be something we're watching for. Now, that's not to say that Columbus can't get an inch of rain in a short time tomorrow, but it looks like the most likely area for those locally higher amounts is going to be southwest.
Okay, that's so good news.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Okay.
And it'd be great if we didn't have any locally higher amounts, just some general rain. We can handle that, but anything is, of course, going to slow down some of that cleanup.
The ground is so wet. When I was stomping through the grass this morning to get into the station, I was like, oh, it's wet out there.
It is very, very soggy. We're a couple of inches above average for the month so far in Columbus Metro, just at John Glenn International. Sure, some of the backyard rain gauges are quite a bit more than that even.
Yeah. And it's we need the dry time. We'll get it basically on the backside of tomorrow, fortunately. We need that dry time. But it is also important, if you do have damage, do what you can to mitigate any further damage. Tarps are a good idea.
Oh, very much so.
Love a tarp. Okay. Justin, thank you so much. We know you've had a very, very busy week. We appreciate you taking the time. That does it for us on The Big Picture today.
We'll see you Friday.
Yeah.